So thank you guys all for hopping on tonight. Tonight is super special because we have a special guest speaker, Corrine, who is absolutely amazing coach, amazing leader. We all love her dearly. And if you have the chance to meet her, she is just amazing in real life as she is on social media. But Corrine posted something about consistency recently, and she poured her heart and soul out. And I asked her to hop on this call and share her journey with consistency and why it's so important. So Corrine, you can go ahead and take it away.
All right. Well, first off, thank you so much, Vicki, for letting me do the call tonight. I'm so excited. So yeah, I guess I was just thinking about consistency since you asked me, and you know, I think it really started from the beginning. Like I remember when Renya, my offline coach, when I started with her in the About Me form she sent me, one of the questions was, can you spend an hour on your business a day? Can I remember that specifically? Because I hadn't really thought about it that way before. I kind of thought going into it that I would just sort of kind of work at it when I wanted. But to have that question asked directly, I realized, okay, yeah, I can give it an hour a day. And I was told like an hour a day is enough to build from there. So that was like right from the beginning that clicked, and I knew that if I really wanted to even just try to see if a hobby could work with this, that I'd want to donate or like give that much time to it. And I also remember that in the form there was the question is, do you see yourself giving it a whole year? And I figured that unless I like absolutely hated it and knew right away that it wasn't meant to be, that I would have to give it a good year to see if it could develop into something. That if I were to stop before that, even though I was liking it but maybe not seeing the progress I'd want, that wouldn't be fair to the business, and that really would be me putting my like best foot forward, because just those two questions made me realize that, you know what, this actually needs a lot of tending, and like you have to put in stuff to get stuff out. So I'm grateful to Renya for that, because those were like two really basic questions. And honestly, I kind of think she probably got it from somebody else's sheet, like I did, you know. But they were huge game changers for me, so that was awesome. And that's exactly how I started. And another big thing in the beginning was right away I read The Slight Edge, and you hear that all the time, but it's such a great book for setting that tone, setting that consistency. And so everything in there was just like, it made perfect sense, and you could use it with your health and your fitness, and definitely with coaching. And also the compound effect, like I read those two basically back to back. They were my PD books right from the beginning. And ever since then, you know, I've been following their lessons basically, and it still resonates really well. Other than that, when it comes to consistency, I'd say, I think the reason why I am as consistent as I am, because I do work the business every day. I'm sure most of you do too, if not all of you. But one of the things that has really helped is that I do the 3 vital behaviors every morning before 9. So I'd say like basically every single morning before 9, which means I get up at 4:45, and I'm sure a lot of you get up early too. And I find that when I first started, I kind of was like, I'd wake up in the morning to read PD and maybe get a workout in, and I try to do my power hour once my kids were in bed, but that wasn't possible. Like I was not getting it in, and I would just like newsfeed scroll and stuff like that. So I knew that like for me, my most fresh time would, and like the time I find most difficult would be networking with people, especially at the beginning. So I had to do that when I was the most alert, which was in the morning. And so I just realized that through trial and error. And since then, I always start with like personal development. And then after, I usually network for a bit, and then I work out and then go back to my power hour again. That just works really well for me. And that way I got it all done before 9. And like basically I do that like 6 days a week, maybe 7 sometimes. And it just helps. It's in the routine too, so I don't have to think about it. And then no matter what happens that day, I know I did that. So Other than that, yeah, so 5 a.m. club. If you're not in that club, I strongly suggest you join. It is the best. It is so good. And I used to honestly always go to bed at like 3 in the morning. So to say that I made that switch, like, it's just crazy for me to think that, because you can ask anybody that knew me like 5 years ago, especially before having kids. No, I was the opposite. So you can do it too if you're missing time. That's a great place to start. Another thing that really helps us when it comes, because I would get like sidetracked off of the things that I didn't want to do, and so that threw off my consistency because I'd be stuck not doing the things I'm supposed to do. So then after my power hour would get done. So what I always try to do is do the hardest thing that day first in my power hour. So, or like usually it's inviting, like right now, or for a while it was adding to my network. It depends on my moods, I have to say too, but it seems like sometimes adding to my network's hard, so then I just push for that first, really following like the eat that frog mindset, with that sort of lesson, to do that first. And I find that helps. And then after, like something like building relationships, I find that part really easy. I love that. So I can do that at any time of the day. And it's just like, I'm kind of almost feel like I'm wasting my best hours if I start with the things I find easiest. So that's helped me. I definitely follow a checklist. That's, like I have some on my phone. They change a lot, like throughout whatever is pressing, whatever is urgent at the time. But it helps to keep me on track for sure. And other than that, definitely, I think a big reason why I've been able to continue to be consistent is because I'm constantly reading personal development, listening to the trainings, like all the trainings. And I believe what they're saying. Like, I see all of these people who are just like us and who, they're not really that much fancier. Like, and if they're able to do it, then I figure I can too. And, that's definitely something that has always kept me going and has always helped me to just move forward. Is just, usually it's from a lesson. It's almost always from a lesson I learned recently. Other than that, I was gonna say how, kind of like based on that too, mindset is everything. Like, I can't get over how important that is to this business. And like, even, I know for us it's like because we hear this stuff all the time, but like for anybody that's starting and doesn't really believe in personal development, it's just like, I shake my head at that. So I can't, you're not even giving it a chance. Like, I don't know how you can last, because you're going to be thrown so many different situations. And I mean, everything I've learned, like any kind of hurdle I've had to come across or had to get over, it was mindset. It was a shift in mindset that did it. And usually that was through personal development, through hearing somebody else's story. I can remember, like in April, I went to Super Saturday, and at that time I thought I was doing pretty good, but really I wasn't growing that quickly. And I heard from like one of these speakers. She's like 10 years younger than me, starting a full-time career. She's on her first week of it as a full-time teacher, and I was a teacher, so I know how hard that is. And she went 5-star in 1 year. And I'm like, what? Like, I've almost been in a year and I'm at Emerald. So, okay, so then after just those kind of stories kind of made me reevaluate. And all the time, it's always mindset that sort of, those lessons taught that changed everything. And certainly helped me stay consistent. So that's like basically all I had. Other than that, I could share like different mindset like phrases I tell myself to sort of keep myself on track. Because there's some mornings that I don't want to do it. Like I was saying, I get up pretty early. So there's some mornings that I don't want to get up. And
yeah, we would love that. I was going to ask you, what do you do when on those days where you feel like you don't want to do anything? Like, how do you talk yourself into it, or what do you do?
Usually I have to talk myself into it. That's like what I do. I read personal development. Like, I'm a real big believer in books like this, The Secret or The Power. You guys might know some of those, especially The Power. The Power changed my life like a couple of years ago before coaching. It's all about like positivity and stuff like that. So there's like a YouTube channel that basically plays or whatever, there's a video that plays like all those lessons from there. And it, like that, if I'm really feeling low, I'll put that on for a bit, and it helps bring up my momentum and like my feelings, you know, or whatever. Like I just feel a little better. But the biggest questions that I ask myself, or that I remind myself, so phrases I say when I'm sort of like not feeling it, especially when I don't feel like getting up. Well, the number one is I think of my why. Like, why am I doing this? I kind of mentioned that I was a school teacher. I still am. I still have a permanent teaching position in a school, but I just keep asking for yearly leaves, and they keep giving them. This year's definitely the last one they'll ever grant me. And so I know that if I, you know, to be fair to my husband and our family, I'd have to be making a relatively close income to my teaching income by April of 2016. So that helps me. That helps me stay on track. It's like, okay, you know, and teaching's fine, but it's not like staying home with your kids and working your own hours and being your own boss, right? So I always tell myself, I remind myself of my deadline, and that's always like my number one goal, because I write my goals every morning, and so that helps huge. Think of that. When it comes to, like, we'll say follow-ups, sometimes, you know, they kind of feel, if you let your mindset go there, you might feel icky, you might not really want to, I'm a bother, I already followed up once, whatever, like you get this negative talk going. And I just say, okay, no, what would a professional do? You're a professional. You're not doing this as a hobby. You're not just some girl. You're not just some mom. This is your business. You're professional. Professionals follow up. And that usually helps me a lot. And just as a side note about that, because this is something that happened this week on Thursday, I kind of had a situation like that where there was like this communication going with these two ladies who were kind of thinking about 21 Day Fierce Week, kind of been going on and off about it for a while. I didn't really know them. They were referral. And anyway, so like the relationship wasn't very strong. And I was, you know, had already followed up twice. And then I was like, should I do the last one? And I was kind of on the fence, negative mindset. It's like, oh, you know what? I'll just go one last time. And then I sent them a message like saying, hey, no, don't want to bother you, but just so you know, today's the last day to sign up so you can join. And then after like 2 hours later, I went back to look at my messages, and they're like, oh, we ordered. They both ordered a challenge pack. They both ordered Kickstart challenge packs, and one girl ordered an extra Kickstart too. It was like, oh, good. You see, following up is great. Like, it helps so much, and they were grateful. So that's another thing. It's like, had I just listened to that mindset, and had I not been a professional, then I would have lost all those sales, and they would have lost the chance. And like, their story's just starting too, right? So it's like exciting to see what else is in store for them. Sometimes when I'm really tired and I don't want to get out of bed, well, first of all, I always keep my alarm far away from my bed, so I have to get up and go get it. But once I'm up, first thing I say is, like, if I'm really feeling tired, I say, no, just get up for 20 minutes. Just 20 minutes. You go to the, you know, go read some PD, go write in your journal, whatever. That's how I start my days with things I like. And I say, if in 20 minutes you still can't handle it, then revisit, you know. And then usually in 20 minutes, I'm fine. Not since I had a newborn did I go back to bed, really. And that's it. Last one is I always say, it's my responsibility. That's another big one. I say it's my responsibility. Like, my challengers are waiting for me. You know, they expect me to come to show up in the group. They expect me to help them like I had promised them. All the people that are messaging me and are trusting me with like sharing their goals and struggles and everything, I really think it's my responsibility to help them, to my coaches. And so I take that responsibility seriously, and I say that to myself as a reminder. That's it.
That's awesome, Corrine. I love the fact that you tell yourself that you're a professional, or like, what would professionals do? Because you're right. You know, a lot of the times we do feel icky, or we feel like we're bothering them, or we feel like they don't like us anymore, or whatever it is. But when you change your mindset, and you're so right, when you change it and say, like, what would the professional do? I'm a professional. Like, I am not just a girl playing on Facebook. I'm not just a mom hanging out with my kids. Like, I'm a professional. And yeah, you're so right. Whoa. Yeah, thank you so much. I took a lot of notes on that one, so thank you. Actually would like you to share a little bit about, it was a couple months ago, and we were on a Zoom, much like this one, and I remember you struggling really bad with Success Club, and it was the first month that you were behind your goal. And all of a sudden, it was like 4 days until, maybe 2 days until the end of the month. And she hasn't made Success Club, or she was just right above 5. And then she ended Success Club with 44, or the month with 44 points. Is that right, Corrine?
I think it was something like that. Yeah, it was in the 40s. It was in the low 40s. I think it was 44, but what, like 2 of those points went into the next month because of the mix up or whatever. But anyway, it was good. Well, that month was a mindset like test. Oh my gosh, because I was, with consistency, then you're inviting every day, like for me at least, my numbers are consistently average or whatever, like, and with that amount that I've been doing, I've been able to at least hit Success Club 10 every month, usually by the middle of the month and all that. And that month, it was like, I was inviting like crazy, and every invite was just like falling apart. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Like, it was just one of those months, and so I had to really overcome my mindset. And I honestly, like, I wanted to quit. Not really, but like, I was like, what am I wrong? Why does it have to be so hard? And like, this was on a Thursday night, and I was like telling my husband, I was like, I don't want to do it anymore. I just want to take like the rest of the week off and all this stuff. And he's like, dude, don't worry, you work hard or whatever. Like, he's very supportive. He's not trying to talk me out of the work, but I was like, okay, well, tomorrow morning I'm just going to go check into my challenge groups because that's my responsibility. And I believe that, and so that was all I was going to do. Really inviting. And then when I went down to in the morning, I checked in with my groups, responded to messages, like the bare minimum. And then after I saw like Charity Hutchinson's posts pop up in my newsfeed, I was like, you know what? That looks like something I can use. And it was Friday morning. It was like one of the most beautiful sunny days here in Winnipeg, like June. So like, it's, who's going to be buying a challenge pack on a Friday morning on a nice, like the first really hot day? And I posted it, and I got like 100 comments in my public, like on my private page or whatever, and I sold so many challenge packs, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. Like, and then I was so happy. I woke up that morning and I went down, and I still did at least a little bit, because had I listened to myself and said, you know what, challenge groups can wait, messages can wait, I'm just gonna sell for a day, I would have missed it. So that was such a big moment, like a lesson for me, definitely.
Like, imagine what you would have missed out on, and all the people that you could have missed out on connecting with if you gave up for that day, or you took a break, or whatever.
Because there's still like so many, like, since I get, I'd say half my challenge packs now are referrals, and they're from that group, like it's such a snowball effect and stuff. And so there's I just gained so much from that one post, and it keeps growing still now. People who all said, like, there were a lot of not right nows in there, but now they're saying yes. So it's just crazy.
I'm sure a lot of us on here have had those days where we didn't want to get out of bed, or we didn't want to return messages, or even send out invites. And like, this really hit home, because I have those days where, like, something emotional happens, and I'm like a big ball of crying fest in fetal position, and I don't want to do anything. But you're right. Like, we owe it to our coaches, we owe it to our challengers to check in. And if we can do that, why can't we do a little bit more? And, just give yourself that 20 minutes. I strongly agree. Just give yourself that 20 minutes. It's just like talking yourself into a workout. I'll start for 5 minutes. If I want to quit at the end of 5 minutes, I'll quit. But chances are you're going to keep going after that 5 minutes. And it's the same thing.
Hey, Corrine. Hi. Can you share with everyone too, like, your thing about can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. About like how you I'm trying to think how you say it. Like, if it's gonna change their mind, like whether if you get like shy about inviting.
Sorry?
Or, like, if it's gonna like change their life.
Oh, okay, I think I said it. Like, okay, so like sometimes when I go to invite, you know, we'll say if I'm like hesitant about inviting somebody to a challenge group, I feel like I'm a bother, what have you, then I'll say something like, what if this invite changes their life? Because I keep getting messages from my friends who've done the groups and who tell me how it's changing their lives. Like, I have one client, he's my cousin too. He's lost 70 pounds since March. And then a lot of you have had really amazing, successful, like, you know, weight loss stories. But to me, that's by far the best one that I've been like working with. And to think, like, especially because I know him before too, you know, and he's just this new person and he's got so much more confidence, energy, and everything. And so that's changed his life, and it all changed his life because I said, "Oh, are you working with someone? You know, if you want some support, I'll support you, or whatever." And yeah, so I definitely always use that one. What if this changes their lives? And what else do I say? I think I actually haven't written down. Let me see. Oh, I know, that's another one. What if they've been waiting for you to ask? Because people are watching you like crazy, and I find more and more too when I go to invite someone. I do find it a lot easier now because we're on social media so much, but more and more people, they're not confused, you know, and they're like, oh yes, I keep seeing your post, I've been meaning to ask you or whatever. So I figure, why not? In worst case scenario, they say no or they don't respond or whatever. That's it. You know, a couple times people have even unfriended. You know, I lost a friend, like a Facebook friend, a stranger friend from it, and that's fine. That's just, you know, it was still worth it because you never know until you ask what their reaction will be, and even they don't even know what their story will be. Like the people who start these programs and who send me a message a month later saying how their confidence is through the roof. They've never felt this good. I just a friend the other day who did 21 Day Fix. She was hesitant, like she hummed and hawed over it for the longest time. And then after, she's like, I can't believe it. I feel so great. I feel better than I did before before my wedding day. And you know, and I can run with my kids, and I've been wanting to run with them for years. And this is giving me the opportunity. And it's like, just like all these beautiful compliments, you know, or whatever, like these beautiful stories she's sharing with me. And I'm like, what if I hadn't asked her? You know, what if I hadn't followed up? Then she would have just gone on her merry way and not knowing that this chance was there and that it could have changed her so much. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I feel like every time I unmute mine, I get like horrible feedback. I don't know what it is.
I can't hear it very well.
Oh, okay. That was just fine. I had a question for you when you were talking, and I didn't want to interrupt you. What do you do, or have you ever been at a place in your business where you were inconsistent for a lengthy time, maybe a week or something, where you felt like you taken a step back? How did you get back into the groove?
Yeah, like I'd say, well, like again, like June. June is the month where it was like, even with my messaging, it was me that was making the mistakes. It was me that was not asking the right questions at first, you know, and stuff. And so my mindset wasn't right. I couldn't really get into it. So all I did was, did two things, but I definitely personal development. And this is where I guess I'm just going to share how I really am, but I'm such a believer in positive energy and in like gratitude and in just putting out what you want in the world. So when I was in a really low point, like where I felt like, you know, doing something so wrong, I really put my like gratitude into high gear, and I started a complaint-free group where you wear a bracelet, and anytime I had a negative or said anything negative, I had to change it, like my bracelet, and it just made me much more attentive to the words and the way I speak to myself and to others. And then in that week, I noticed an improvement in how I felt. And then a few days after that, week of feeling good about myself, I got like that amazing post invite thing. So I mean, could be coincidence, but for me, I'm a believer. And so usually every time I go through a lull, what pulls me out is a lot of personal development and a change in mindset. And usually it's like a story, somebody hearing about someone else. Oh, they did that. I'm just like them. I can do it too.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Corrine, for your tidbit. Does anyone have any questions to ask Corrine or comments? We have a lively bunch. I know some of you guys look at Corrine like, okay, she is a Success Club rock star. She is a recruiting rock star. You don't have anything to ask her? None of you. All right. Well, I'm learning a ton from you, Corrine, and I think this was an amazing share. I'm actually going to share, I hope you don't mind, I'm going to share this video with all of my coaches, because I think no matter where you're at in your business, whether you're a new coach or Emerald and above or whatever, it's good to know about consistency. And you hit it right on the head. Mindset changes everything.
I'd say too, with mindset, usually what the mindset is a fear that blocks me. And then once I recognize that it's just a fear, and then I can get past it. But it's like, usually takes some personal development and stuff, but it's almost always a fear. And it's never one that's like, you know, valid.
Right.
Just one I invent, one I put in my head. Right. So.
That's good. Awesome. All right. Well, if no one has any more questions, oh wait, hold on. Does anyone have any questions before I stop the recording?